All right, your next comic. You've seen her on Dr. Phil, unless the episode has not been released yet. But anyway, that's all I know. Let's give it up for Dr. Leigh-Davis.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Leigh-Davis, and I am a law professor and a broadcast journalist. And for many, many, many years, I was an attorney. And I developed a reputation of being a little politically incorrect. And the reason that happened is because I am. So I'm going to warn all of you now, if you are overly sensitive, or if you only like to hear politically correct things, you should leave right now. Because I will likely offend you. But I'm not all negativity. There's a lot of things I love. I love the way the elections have become so outlandish. Have any of you seen those commercials? There was a commercial that alluded to former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani getting rid of all the homeless in New York by secretly having them murdered. Now, personally, I found this very offensive because I actually like Rudy Giuliani. And besides, everyone knows he got rid of all the homeless by giving them a one-way ticket to Los Angeles. I mean, just look around. There's homeless people everywhere. You can't even walk down the street without tripping over them. Personally, if Meg Whitman had wanted to be governor, she should have ran on the platform that she was going to give all of our homeless in Los Angeles a one-way ticket to Hawaii. Specifically, the island paradise of Molokai. Because for decades and decades, that was the beautiful island paradise where Americans sent all the lepers. It's an American way. But what I really, really love about this election season is the way all the Republicans came together when Juan Williams was fired from NPR and miraculously hired by Fox News the same day, which was a world record in itself. This goes to show you how much Republicans hate NPR, that they were standing behind a black man who was named Juan.
Like your eyes.
But another thing that I really love about the election season is the way every town hall you go to, all the people there are talking about how things are not fair. And everyone wants to find the candidate that's going to make life fair. Now, who ever misinformed you that life is fair? As if someone has a contract at home that says, "Welcome to Earth, where life is always fair." But another thing that I really, really love, which isn't fair, has nothing to do with the elections, but I love the way a man can hate you, he can not want to be seen with you, he can realize the two of you have absolutely nothing in common, and yet that man can still want to sleep with you. And men never let something like a wife or a girlfriend stand in the way of that goal. Which brings me to dating. I recently became single. Well, actually, I'm still married. However, we are separated. And let me tell you, after 18 years of being married, a lot has changed. A lot has changed, a lot. And one thing that I realize is once you reach a certain age, any man that is still single is single for a reason. Suffice it to say, dating has not been going well for me. First, there was a gentleman that I was acquainted with, and we decided to make it official and go out on an official date. We met each other at a restaurant, and he comes up to me and says, "You know, I never realized how pretty your face is because I've been too busy looking at your butt." And I'm just thinking, that's not how you really want to start a first date. Then there was a man who decided to drink so much and become so inebriated on our date that he threw up all over me. But he had an explanation. He told me he doesn't usually drink. His system's not used to it. That's why he threw up. He's against drinking. And I'm just thinking, as if this makes a difference. Then there was a man, I can't even remember his name. We'll just call him Butt Crack. Okay, this man was a member of the Rhythmless Nation. In other words, he could not dance. And when he went out on the dance floor to attempt to dance, his pants would fall down, exposing his butt crack. And even though everyone on the dance floor was staring at this man's butt, he did not realize it, nor did he try and pull up his pants. But if that was not enough, he had the audacity to start arguing with me. Now, for all you men out there, never argue with a woman, especially if you're on a date with a woman, and especially if you're hoping to get some action on that date. Women are always right. So this rhythmless man with his butt crack showing decides to argue with me. He didn't even know who the Bee Gees were. When I was an attorney, I worked in the music industry. I like to think I have an encyclopedic knowledge of music. He had the nerve to argue with me about whether Rick James sang Brick House, when everyone knows the Commodore sang Brick House. But if that date wasn't enough, the date that just topped it all off was the one where I was dating someone for a while, and it was actually going pretty well. And it was that night when you decide that it's time to get intimate. So we're in his bedroom, and he's trying to have sex with me, and everything's good. Everything's been good up to that point. But his pet iguana is in the corner staring at us. And this wasn't a little iguana that you could put on your shoulder and walk around with the little iguana on your shoulder. This was a huge iguana. If you put it on your shoulder, it would have broken your shoulder. Let's just call it an alligator. So I don't even like to have sex with dogs watching. Needless to say, I was not in the mood that night with the alligator watching. Suffice it to say, I'm kind of afraid of dating lately. But actually, I have another theory about being afraid of things. I personally don't like to tell people what I'm afraid of because they might use it against you. And I know that all too well because I'm going through my 3rd divorce right now. So instead of saying I'm afraid of things, I prefer to use the term allergic. So I am never afraid of anything, but I am allergic to a lot of things. For instance, I would say I'm allergic to snakes. That's understandable, but some people seem to think I have some weird allergies. For instance, I'm also allergic to monkeys. Yeah, I know a lot of people think monkeys are cute, and a lot of humans like to dress them up in little suits and clothes. But no matter how many Giorgio Armani suits you put on a monkey, eventually it's going to snap and it's going to realize it's a wild animal. And someone is going to get hurt. Now you notice that people will keep their pet dogs forever, till their dying day. They'll pass the dog down from generation to generation. Oh yeah, that's my dog, it was my dad's dog. You will never find one person who has kept a monkey forever. Even crazy Michael Jackson got rid of that monkey. Michael Jackson had the elephant man's bones. He was being put into a self-induced coma every night, but he knew to get rid of Bubbles before he passed away. So I'm allergic to monkeys. Now another thing I'm allergic to, and I told you I'm not always politically correct, and I really can't tell you why, and I kind of feel ashamed to even say it, but I'm allergic to midgets. And I don't really know why. For some reason, they just make me a little bit anxious. My mother tells me it has to do with the incident that happened when I was younger, and we were at a circus. And anyone who hasn't been to the circus, you cannot have a circus without the little midget clown. Because there's a routine that goes on at every circus where all the clowns get out of the car, and it's clown after clown after clown. It's like 100 clowns get out of this car. At the very end, there's that little midget clown. So my mother says this clown was following me around and kept pulling on my pigtails, and somehow I never recovered from that. So I don't really remember that whole incident, but I do know when I was growing up, midgets were always sinister characters. They're always like the Munchkins on The Wizard of Oz, or they were the Oompa Loompas in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And I know it's politically incorrect to call them midgets, but they change their title every year, so it's really hard to keep up. Little person, midget, munchkin. Suffice it to say, I'm allergic to them. Now, the other thing I'm allergic to, and if I haven't offended you yet, this might offend some of you women. The other thing I'm allergic to is women's lib. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the laws against domestic violence, the pill, the woman's right to choose, I think those are just great. However, I do not believe in role reversal. I do not believe men and women are equal. I personally think men and women are